We can now move on to the questions from the audience. If you want to ask a question, you can please switch on your mic, and you can also address it to a particular party if you want to. Thank you.
Can I start? Yeah. So I have a lot of points. I will address them in general. Feel free to pick which one interests you most, and then you can relate on it. So one of the things that it was mentioned often was loneliness. We saw a lot of topics where people mentioned different ways of approach it. But if you could choose one to fight loneliness after 2 years of pandemic, which one would be really the most important one for you? Then the other thing we talked about commute. But we see that in Eindhoven, for example, all trains or all buses are connected at the central station, which is maybe not the most rational reuse of the transportation. Do you consider to rebuild? We see, for example, in Woensel that there's already some sort of a secondary station that people can use, but services are still centralized. Is that in the goal of the party? The other thing that I missed a bit, I just hear it a bit on the refugees topic, the library. I missed people referring how the library could be used, because it's still a place where a lot of international people go. But unfortunately, a lot of events are still not made also for international people. So maybe the City Hall could also intervene in international readings and discussions on books. And my last proposal, or things that I would like to put in the table, is the digital contribution via the City Hall. The CDA, for example, mentioned that in the last years there's a focus on making things in English. But for example, a lot of letters that the City Hall still uses are in Dutch. Would be an option, for example, to make it at least bilingual for the other people that don't understand it. And I leave a last challenge. Since we are talking on digitalization, maybe the City Hall, YouTube or social media platforms could also use videos with simple instructions, because we were talking on platforms. For example, one that most of the people recognize, Brabant Water, for example. A lot of communication is still in Dutch. It's a company, so of course they can keep it in Dutch, but maybe the City Hall could also help with that, maybe with the International Desk Office. I saw a lot of proposals. I'm just throwing some topics to the table, because I would like more concrete actions than what has been discussed. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, we all do.
Oh. We all do, yeah. We are really inspired, or I think I can speak, with all your questions and also ideas. I think that these are already good proposals to improve. For example, the digitalization. We now also have an alderman digitalization who is also working on making our city more digital and innovative. And that can also contribute, of course, in improving the communication towards citizens. We now have the Raadzaal 040. It's in Dutch indeed, on social media, but maybe we can suggest that also they will post things in English, which is a really nice one. And I will answer one more question, because otherwise other people, and it is on the public transport. GroenLinks finds it really important that we support sustainable and clean transport, so that it's easier to get on the bike, to get on by feet, or by bus or train. So we indeed want to improve these bus connections in the whole city, so that people are actually seduced to choose for the green and sustainable transport also more easily in the whole city. So thank you for all the suggestions, and I will leave the others to my colleagues, because otherwise I can talk a lot, I think.
Miriam.
Thank you for your questions. I've been working 2 years with students, international students especially, and we have been talking a lot about loneliness, and we thought about cooking together, doing things together, but it's not enough. So I've been talking with the Eindhoven in Contact, which is an organization, and they are coming in the next period, because they say, before you start thinking about solutions, just think about contemplation, just make a reflection. So we are going all together with all the councillors to think about the situation. And I've heard from a professor, he said, of the Fontes, the first things that these people have to do to fight a little bit loneliness is talk about it. Then there will be your heavy loneliness background can be a little bit relief from your shoulders. Then you said about library. Library is absolutely important. We want the library in all the district. There is this Read Express, and there is a nice voluntary that read the stories to international children. So they improve the language. We saw in the pandemic when everything was closed that the children knowledge of the language was going backwards, and we don't want that. And all the things about video, I also made together with Sha Italia a lot of webinars in English and also with CELO in Italian and Spanish to let everybody understand what are this votation, what are the municipality election, and that's why we want to use an inclusive communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Tjeerd.
Yeah, also talking first about loneliness. I mean, I think many of the ideas you heard here are great and they will all help. But I think, and also during Corona, it's not just loneliness, there are many issues in the city. The biggest structural problem, so I would pick that, is picking up as a municipality these voices, to hear them. And when you hear them, where do they end up and how to act upon them? And that is the biggest issue I would like to address first. Because if you don't hear the voices, well, you can have all the best ideas in the world, but, well, it won't work. So that is why we also so big on civic participation, for example. I also won't all pick all the topics, but one important also libraries. We also brought back some of the libraries to the neighborhoods. Want to keep working on that to expand that. It's like it really connects to the story of more social cohesion. Bring it back to the neighborhoods. For internationals, for non-internationals, anyone. I'm not sure if I said about the digitalization, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but part of that, all the opportunities, your portal must be in English as well. And not just in English, also maybe in Polish, also maybe in Turkish, which is the biggest migrant workers group here in Eindhoven. And to make that accessible, to make it attractive, to really, well, not... of course, also to have all the information and all the documents there available, what you need or where to go to, but also, well, you can do a little bit of marketing, which connects, I think, also to your video question.
Ed, you want to take it?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we say yes to all your ideas, because it are all good ideas, not so much questions. But the thing about loneliness, yeah, that is well, what my neighbor said. Picking it up, well, you are doing that now, but picking it up as a municipality is the first step, and we have to better that. But also, it is a goal for Eindhoven 365 and the new programs. The connection that we were talking about earlier, this is part of it. Look at the loneliness. And of course, the pandemic didn't help for that reason, but it is a goal. So that's a good thing. For as much as your question remarks about mobility, there's some good news. We are looking into new ways of mobility. You've probably read something about the Brainport line, but there are a lot of initiatives like that to connect and not centralize, as you said, just at the CS station in the center. So that's a good thing. Actually, we're working on new ways of everything. And one of the nice things is, culture-wise as well, is that there are a lot of student teams on every level. So not only the TU, but also Fontes and Summa. And all these student teams, we give them a question like this. And they come up with amazing ideas. So we're going to use them more often. First advantage is natuurlijk the connection, and also with the cultures, the different cultures in that. But also they come up with really good ideas that we all like. So that's going to be happen a little bit more than we do now. And yeah, everything is said by my colleagues already. So keep it up. Give us more ideas. We are happy with them.
Ankie, you want to take it?
Yes, to the point answers to your questions. For the public transport, I think it's really important to encourage public transport. We already said that as Volt. To be specific is we would like, you have the ring, you have of course the highway, you have the ring. It would be great if there was a bus line at the ring. So it's not going to the central, but easy when you want to go to Stratum. from Tongel, you take the bus by the ring, and it's only 5 minutes. So that's one really to-the-point example. What you mentioned about other companies not using English, it's easy to encourage them also to let them know that it's easy to have subtitles in your videos, etc. So I think with technology, with digitalization, it's an easy solution. And when it comes to the students and their loneliness, of course, Volt has many members as students, and we already talked to them, and we have, of course, our meetups already, and it's important when you have the council and you have the digitalization like a liaison desk, it's also the connection of supply and demand, again, for the connect the people and meet the people-to-people contact. And that's what the city council can facilitate. So it's digitalization, it sounds a bit not connecting, but we use it to connect with each other, people to people.
Thank you. Do we have another question from the audience? Yes, please. Sorry, Tom.
It's okay. Thank you very much. To add to what Ankie said, well, we already appointed the public transport company Hermes years ago. That it would be very nice if we have a bus running on the ringway in Eindhoven. They thought, well, it's too complicated. So, but maybe you have to point it to them again. But also to decentralize the lines, because I think it's a very good suggestion, and it can relieve the congestion at the main bus station in the city. When it comes to loneliness, how we want to address that, I know from my own university, Radboud in Nijmegen, that the international students get appointed a buddy, which gives them a tour on the campus and helps them to find their way into the local town. City. So I think it could also be a good idea to address loneliness, to give them someone to talk to and to meet for a coffee or a beer or something else. And that would be very nice if that could be a solution for loneliness.
Thank you. I think I saw somebody who wants to take a question from there. Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Alina, and I'm here in double capacity, let's say. First, as an international living in the area already 5 months, and secondly, as a policy officer working for the province of North Brabant in Den Bosch. And what I do with my colleagues is basically policy to attract internationals here. So when I see articles that ASML or some other company wants to bring thousands of people here, I'm thinking, great, we're attracting the brains that we need for the labor market shortages that we have at the moment. However, as an expat, I read these titles with horror because I'm now looking for an apartment and it's impossible to find one. And so I would like to ask if the political parties present here are discussing with these big companies about their policies to bring people, because I'm definitely for bringing people since we have these labor market shortages. On the other hand, how do you engage these very, very big companies who attract the talent here to maybe chip in when it comes to the housing problem or challenge, let's put it mildly? Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Ed wants to take it.
Yeah, thank you. A very good question. And yes, the talent on war is that's a clear thing for everyone. And what we're trying to do here is not talk to the companies by itself. Well, of course, the ASMLs and the VDLs and other big companies, they worried because people will not come here if there's no housing for them. So they look into all these ideas together with us, but we have to look at it an integral way. So I said before, not only in Eindhoven, but we have to do it with the whole region because it is a problem that is not going to be solved in a short while. So we look into everything that is possible. We are asking for ideas by everyone who wants to say something about it. But we have also tiny houses, temporary housing, together with families who have rooms over and so forth, to start with. But that's a really short time. We have to solve this problem, but it will take a little bit longer, yeah.
Alina, you might want to switch off your mic. Yeah. Does anyone else wants to add? Yes, please.
Yeah, it's a really good question because international citizens enrich, of course, our city. We have to take, but GroenLinks thinks that we have to take the, our companies, our Brainport companies. We are working together with Brainport, with companies, with educational institutes and the government itself to actually improve our city. And we think companies should also take responsibility that everyone actually can benefit from the economic growth here in our society. We are really growing as a city. Our economy is really big, but not everyone can benefit from that. There are still people really poor in Eindhoven, but it's also indeed still increasingly difficult to find affordable housing. And we think that also companies should take responsibility to tackle these issues, to contribute to a society where everyone actually benefits from that economic growth, can find a job that is well paid, can find affordable housing. So indeed, we think also broader sense, not only housing, but actually in a broader sense that companies should take responsibility as well and actually work together with us to tackle these issues. And one thing to do on the short term is in Eindhoven there are like 3,000 housings empty. Because it's actually really profitable for those landlords to keep them empty, because houses actually, you can earn lots of money of it. And we actually want to have a fee for owners that keep their houses empty, because we think that is really a pity in this kind of crisis, and that can also add up to 3,000 extra houses if those houses wouldn't be empty, because that's really a pity in this crisis.
Alina, thank you for your questions. As you know, I also have an international digital cafe, Philom in Eindhoven, and we talked about this last in the previous meeting. It is a big problem. We don't just talk, with the stakeholders, but we ask to take action. For instance, a couple of years ago, CDA said to the TU and the Fontis, you have a lot of international students, and we are happy with this. But where are you going to put them? You have to take your own responsibility right now. You have such a big campus, and there's not so many houses. And they talked to a municipality, and in the end, they built a lot of studios in the campus for the students. The same as to do these big companies, ASML, NXP, DAF, and whatever. They have to take their own responsibility. And they have to think not just of what is happening tomorrow, but on the long term to make sure that this integration is becoming a normal process in life, and everybody has not just a house with bricks, but a nice home. And you too.
Yes, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your question, Alina. I think that the building more houses is only part of the solution. Of course, we would really love that the houses would roll out of the 3D printer and be available on the next day. But that's not the solution right now. So I think we also need to address this issue to the neighboring municipalities. Which we are doing also right now, and improve the public transport connections. For instance, if people live in Helmond, it's only 10 minutes or 15 minutes by train, which is quite near actually. So this is also something that we have to work on, improve the public transport connections, which can also help to live maybe not in Eindhoven, but near Eindhoven with a good connection.
Thank you. I think Tjeerd is very ready.
I'm very ready. Thank you for the question. Well, indeed, well, we want to have the companies build more houses and everything, but will they? That's the big question. So that really connects to what I was saying in the last topic about upgrading this Brainport corporation we have to a Brainport 2.0 to really help building that social agenda within Brainport. And I know I know this has been discussed before. So we keep working on that. But how would it look like? First of all, it's important to mention that now we're talking mostly about really big companies in Brainport. But 70% of our economy is dependent upon the small to medium enterprises, and most of them don't feel even connected to Brainport. So that's one big chunk of companies we can include. Where we can't say to ASML, go there and build 10 housing complexes. In the pool of cooperation between companies, government, education, well, the triple helix system was mentioned. I would like to make it a quadruple helix with the people involved as well. There is a lot more possible. There are also great examples worldwide. I think of Barcelona, there was one. But in any case, the social agenda is on the table. Companies are willing because, of course, it's part of the whole Brainport development of really helping to developing our whole region. It goes further than just housing. It involves culture. It involves infrastructure. How together we can make the city really Brainport, a real Brainport.
Thank you. I saw Ed move to the edge of his seat already. You're going to hear something different from Ed, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that we cannot ask, well, we can ask, but they're not going to develop houses to solve the problem. They have plenty of problems, and of course they're interested in the housing for their employees. But they are not builders. They are not going to do that. So we have, as a municipality, the obligation to do so and to help facilitate and give room to developers, because there are too many rules, the procedures, the processing. It's taking longer than building the actual houses. If you look at the Brainport Industry Campus, the factory of the future, the director told me, when I asked him, what is your nightmare? My nightmare is that it takes longer to get the permit than to build that thing. If you know how big it is, that's 2.5 times bigger as the Brainport Industry Campus #1. So this is huge. He builds it in a year, and it takes more to get the permit and the processing done, which is insane. So we should think about steps like, well, there was, it's my age thing probably, but there was a series for kids called the A-Team. I think we need an A-Team here, and said all the professionals who can do something with it, put them together in a pressure cooker way to start with, and come up with ideas to make the next steps together. There's no solution short while, but we need to take the necessary steps with all the people involved.
One of the biggest problems in the housing market, and I have to respond to this, is that we give far too much freedom, far too much space to investors, to these kinds of developments the VVD is now talking about. When we talk about social enough space, we have to rethink how we reconstruct our whole housing market, and what is actually broken is you want to break even more. So no. I really don't...
well, I know, you don't know what you're talking about. It's absolutely insane what you're saying.
Well, this is the housing market in the Netherlands and in Eindhoven.
Gentlemen, we agree to disagree, and I think Ankie is waiting.
I would only like to add that it's a complex problem. That's what you see, and again, Volt is things European, and we have examples in other European cities like Austria, Vienna. They have also a complex housing, of course, because it's a big city. They accomplish to have affordable homes for everybody who wants to live in the city. So look at that. Look at also across your borders. Look at Europe, and we have our connections so that we can have the best practice and bring that also here. It's complex, but all over Europe we have the same problems. So let's meet them.
Thank you. We are almost, it's 7. We're almost at, we see 2 questions. Is it okay for all of you if we go ahead with the 2 questions? Okay. So I saw Vishwanath. Yes, please.
Thanks, Beena. And most of the questions you have covered in your side itself from the international aspects. But I have one question. So where everybody was speaking feel at home and connecting the people and all other points, which is really good and a lot of plans coming up. But how are you connecting with the internationals? That's something which I did not see in the last 6 years, being in this Eindhoven itself, where there are a lot of issues, questions, or requests which comes from the international, which does not reach to the Gemeente because there is no platform to reach them. It's most of the questions are getting rotated within the community, but it is not reaching to the Gemeente. There is no way. I even tried connecting with expat center and tried passing the questions to Gemeente. I do not know where it has gone. Maybe Edie would know because I've passed this question to him. There are a lot of things which is there, which people want help from the local bodies, but that's something which is not getting addressed. How is this going to be addressed in the future? So this is one question maybe, and adding to that one, most of the people were speaking about the internationals coming, working and other things. There are many international who has come here as a spouse or anything. They have started as startups. There are a lot of startups which are struggling because of the pandemic which is gone, or maybe other things which they need a support, which they do not know exactly from the local rules and regulations or maybe bodies, which has not been getting addressed and they are winding up. So the startups are really growing well, especially in Brabant. So what is that it's going to be addressed and how is this going to be taken up? Because I know small ideas comes with the big brains, and this big brains comes with by anyone. So the small startup can become a big like ASML, Philips or anything, but that's something which is not being addressed anywhere.
Thank you. Who wants to take that? Okay, Eva.
Yeah, thank you for your plea to also involve more internationals in what's happening in the city council. And I would like to invite all people over here also for our international working group. And maybe GroenLinks is your party, but maybe you want to collaborate with other parties. Because we think indeed that the involvement of international citizens should be improved. We did some things already, for example, organizing English brainstorms or posting on Facebook platforms like, oh, what do you think about, for example, this vision on education? But I agree with you that this should be more and should be more structural and permanent, because now, if I reflect on me, I organize sometimes brainstorms and did some requests on platforms, but I think we should do that more often. And again, also the invitation to join our international working group to also, in that sense, improve our city and collaborate with the issues we want to find creative solutions for.
Thank you, Eva. Miriam?
I will be really short. It is really a pity that somebody solve problems or get an answer to their questions just because they know me or they know Eva or they know somebody else. It is really sad to hear those things. And as it was asked by Beena, I think we have a lot of information, a lot of questions, but it's not easy to find. So we have to work in the next 4 years on this. And to help you, to help international, but it's not just what we can do. The international has also to give a hand, because as I told you, to build a bridge, we need both sides.
Thank you, Miriam. Yes.
Thank you for your question, first of all. I think it was hard, especially during the pandemic, to get in touch with each other. Usually we have, for the city council, before it starts, we have a program called Guest of the City Council. I don't know if it's already also in English, but maybe we should try it actually. We do, okay. Yeah. So we have it, so I hope the guests will soon be attending the city council meeting soon again. That's a very easy and way to get in touch with the city council people. We also have the hub for experts and the expert center. I think that's a good platform. I think the hub closed right now, so maybe you have to find another place to meet. And the local library can help, but if that is not sufficient at the moment, then maybe you have to let the library know that there can be a bigger role for them to support people. I hope that's an answer to your question.
Thank you, Tom. And yes, Ankie.
Yes, I find it really challenging what you say. And it's good that, like, in the preparation for tonight, for the debate, I worked together with Stuti. She's originally from India. And I worked together with Carl. He's originally from Belgium. And he's a student here. So we already have in our party numerous of members that are international. And so when a vote comes to the council, we can all, from the inside, we already have many internationals. So hopefully we have the connection easier for you to that's also when I meet people, like it's hard to get the connection. Really, we want it, and you see that's why you are here. You really want this, and and we have our English meetup. So I think we are really focusing on being international. So it's good, and I think please come join our English meetups. You don't have to be a member, but it's really on topics that are interesting, not really only political.
Thank you, Ankie. And Ed, please.
Yeah, thanks again. Thank you for the question. And we recognize some of the points you said. And like you see, we can work together. I'm not speaking for Tjeerd, but I think he will agree as well. So we're all working here together and have the same ideas. And of course, if you are interested in politics, we love you right away, because every party here on this table will like to have you as a member or interested international. During the pandemic, it was a little bit harder, and that gets bad results as well. But on the other hand, small initiatives become big. You say in the ecosystem, startups, ASML was a startup also a long time ago. And I was particularly interested in that part of your question or remarks regarding the ecosystem and also the spouses of the internationals. They are very talented. So how can we help build that ecosystem better? Because we have a little bit of work to do there. It is getting better already. So it says something how bad it was. It is getting better, but we are not there yet by far. So we are really interested in, if you want to talk about it, yes, but you have the support of all these 6 people here, candidates or councillors as well. And I think we can do something with that, yeah.
Thank you. And Tjeerd, yeah.
Yeah, and in the spirit of cooperation, I will say also something that's maybe not so good for self-promotion, but I, among others, I'm very happy that Volt, for example, now participates here, because I also believe that you have that pan-European thing going on, your English events. I really believe it also challenges us, all the other parties, to really rethink how well connected are we to the international community. So we are also already starting to innovate with new ideas. I think we really, we together, all of us, initiated this debate. I think that's a good start for, at least for something. Structurally speaking, also for the municipality, and this connects a little bit also to what I've been saying before, picking up these voices better, new communities here to really boost that civic participation, to really see how can we as a city pick up the voices of internationals better, to have them a say in policies, in things that directly affect them, and to actually literally involve them and make that really an enthusiastic thing to do.
One more small thing. Do you love cricket by any chance?
I played for my state, that's like what we say county, so I'm a state level player for the cricket. So.
Oh, wow. So you love the initiative in Eindhoven?
No, I have not involved in anything, but yeah, I do play cricket here with some of the teams and other things. But yeah, that's something I had questions, but yeah, that's something we do not have a sufficient time. There were a few more questions with me, but I think the time is not sufficient for us.
Thank you for your understanding. Yes, we have one question from Vincent. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I have a comment and a question. My comment is, I work at the university and dealing with the community. we've done a lot during the pandemic. It's not perfect, I agree, but we did our best. And I think now in the post-COVID period, it will be probably better to connect people, to get some more connection between people. But I think, okay, that was one comment as part as a what concerned the loneliness. My question is, I'm not too sure. I feel some kind of confusion regarding the language or languages or language policies that different parties have, because I hear bilingualism. What is it? Probably Dutch-English. I think so. I hear multilingualism. I like that. I'm French myself. I hear Dutch only or English only. So maybe could you all the parties very quickly state what your language policy is toward the municipality? Thank you.
Thank you. And who wants to go?
I would like to go.
Okay.
Because as I said in the beginning, Eindhoven is a city of many languages. So we really stand for multiple languages, and I really can learn a lot of other language also. And I think in Eindhoven I can certainly find people for that. Of course, when it comes to necessary information, you might have sometimes to choose what's mostly read, or is it when it's necessary to learn. Of course, so that's when you choose sometimes the bilingual as English in this case.
Thank you, and quickly over to Ed.
Yeah, very good question. When I say bilingualism, it depends on what the content behind the question is, because let's start from an individual perspective here with Dutch and English, indeed. On the other hand, as a municipality, we have the obligation to help every person that comes here. And our platform, our website is already available, I think, in 5 or 6 languages, because otherwise we cannot communicate with each other. So I agree totally with that, and also with Ankie, I think.
Tjeerd.
Yeah, so, good question. So the core idea of us, at least, is to have this international office where everything can indeed be multilingual. And that can be any language, also depending on the demands in the city itself. The core of the municipality, however, we believe should still be Dutch, because it's the best way to integrate, and everyone needs to work, it's very important to feel, to be confronted with Dutch. If we talk about different communities also getting together, also a lot of people here in the city who just speak Dutch. So yeah, that's an important part of the strategy as well. So we separate it that way. That's how we see it. The English portal online, the portal online should also be in every language, like mentioned before. I think when you go online, that's the easiest way to approach people. That's the first place they will look at. Immediately have that in any language available.
Thank you, and I'm sure, please.
Thanks for your question, Mr. Vincent. I think it's like Volt said, we are a city with 160 nationalities, 236,000 inhabitants. So we need to communicate in all the languages. If I think about, again, my hotline for labor exploitation, and I put labor exploitation, then there will be people from Italy, Spain, Romania, Bulgaria. They cannot understand, so we need to communicate their language to help them in this case. I agree also with the chair that the core language has to be Dutch, and we want to stimulate people to learn Dutch. For me, because I'm the only one that was born in Italy here, it was from the moment I learned Dutch, I was enjoying the vibrant nightlife. I was talking to everybody. I was a part of the system. It was a world for me was open. I still like to speak Italian and other languages, but I think I made my my point clear. So core Dutch and then all the other languages.
Thank you, Miriam. Does Eva or Tom want to take it or not?
Yeah, I don't want to repeat all these people, because I think, in general, we think that the communication towards internationals should be improved. And Also, one way to do that is communication through food, to dance, to music, to culture. So that's also a way to communicate and to get to know each other. So I would like to add that as a language to facilitate as a city, besides the normal communication that we have to improve with each other.
Thank you.